Welcome back to the best Dominion cards list. Before we get to the next cost level, we have a look at a single kingdom card, the Knights. The Knights were introduced to us in Dark Ages and were at 36 in the cards list of the cards costing 5, so a little bit below average. And as you may know, and you can read here, there are 10 different knights in the knights pile, and you can only buy the top card of this pile. So the strength of the knight heavily depends on which knight is on top of the pile, as the additional benefit, additional to the attack, is different on each knight. So let's have a look how you voted the knights. I've got 35 votes on the knights, so let's have a look. Rank 10, Dame Natalie. Dame Natalie, aka the Gainer Knight, is the worst of the knights. She was voted last 16 out of 35 times and was voted in the top 5 only 2 times. She has the second lowest deviation in this list. If you go heavily for knights, you want to play them as often as you can. Dame Natalie gives you the ability to flood your deck with free cost cards, but on most boards this decreases the ability to play them often. Therefore, that's a good knight to pick up as a defense. You can flood your deck with silvers and you don't mind if it gets trashed to a strong knight. With cheap engine components like village, hamlet or fishing village, this can be a really good knight to pick up in the early game though. You use this as a gainer and can slow your opponent down. But of course, this is very situational. What's not to underestimate is the possibility to gain estates in the endgame when the game is close to a tie. Rank 9, Sir Martin. Sir Martin, aka the By Knight, is slightly better than Dame Natalie. He has the lowest deviation in this list and has the lowest highest rank on rank number 4. But he has only 10 last ranks and 3 votes in the top 5. The +2 buys is of course the weakest benefit of all knights, but Sir Martin costs only 4. As you know, the difference between a 4 and a 5 cost card is big, and the attack effect for only 4 is not a bad deal. Also, it's a cheap knight you can pick up only for defense purposes if your opponent goes heavily on knights. Also, if you're playing an alternative strategy like going for gardens, Sir Martin is a great knight to get. If you go heavily for knights, Sir Martin is probably the weakest you can get, because if you go for an engine, you most likely have another source of plus buy already, and you really can't rely on getting him. What makes him good in an engine is that you can pick him up easily with a gainer like Ironworks, so he has a low opportunity cost. Rank number 8, Sir Vander. Sir Vander, aka the on trash gold gain knight, has a much higher rating than the last two. He was voted 7 times in the top 5, but still he was voted last 4 times. Sir Vander has no special on playability, what makes him look weak. But if you have only 5 and want a gold instead, he isn't a bad deal. You can use him to slow your opponent down a little bit, and you really don't care if he gets trashed. You converted a 5 cost card into a 6 cost card. It's probably more useful as a pure defense though. Your opponent has to trash a probably better knight, and you get a gold out of it, a very good deal for you. Also, it's possible to use a trash for benefit card on him, although I think I've not done it yet. Rank number 7, Dame Josephine. Dame Josephine, aka the VP Knight, has the highest deviation in this list. She was voted first once and 12 times in the top 5, but still 5 times last on the other side. Dame Josephine is one of the worst knights you can get if you go heavily on knights, especially if she's the top knight. She gives you no benefit all game, and as she eventually gets trashed, you lost the points. But later in the game, she is in direct competition with Duchy. You get 1 VP less and have the chance to play it and trash an opponent's Duchy, what makes her worth 5 victory points. But on the other side, you could get unlucky and hit an opponent's knight so that you lost her and rather would have picked up a Duchy. So picking her up is a bit of a gamble. You could decide not to play her in the endgame, but then she should have been a Duchy also. But if you play her, you have to hope for the best. Rank number 6, Sir Destry. Sir Destry, aka the Draw Knight, has a much higher rating than all previous knights. His rating is even above average, although his rank is not. He was voted first once and is the first knight with no last rank. No, not even a second last rank. Sir Destry is one of the best additions into an engine when you can easily pick up cheap villages. If you're going big money, you could also easily pick it up to slow your opponent down a little bit, or as a defense against knights, as it's useful for you, but you also don't mind if you have to sacrifice it for another knight. Rank 5, Dame Anna. Dame Anna, aka the Treasure Knight, is slightly better than Sir Destry and has the second highest deviation of all knights. She was voted first twice, but still has a lot of really low votes. Dame Anna is one of the best knights you can have as the top knight, especially if you're going for knights. Thinning out the deck allows you to play your knights very often, which is great, of course. She's no good knight to pick up for defense, as thinning out only allows your opponent's knights to hit more often. But still, she's really situational. Also, if you get her in the mid game, the trashing is usually not that useful anymore. Rank number 4, Dame Molly. It was close. Dame Molly, aka the Village Knight, is only 1 percentage point better than Dame Anna. She was voted first once and has very few low votes. Dame Molly is a great addition to an engine. As you have other villages already, otherwise you shouldn't go for the engine of course, +2 actions doesn't seem like a huge benefit, basically only a necropolis. Non-terminal attacks are very useful, as you can play her guaranteed unless you draw her dead. Also, if you go heavily for knights, it's not rare that knights collide. The ability to play 3 knights out of a free card hand is huge and shouldn't be underestimated. Rank number 3, Dame Sylvia. Ranks 3 to 6 were really close, less than 10 percentage points difference. Dame Sylvia, aka the Terminal Silver Knight, won that battle, but it could easily differ in the next time. She was voted first only once, but was only voted 5 times in the bottom 3. Dame Sylvia is also very powerful to get early, as she is probably best in picking up other knights, as she boosts your economy the most early. Later in the game she's probably worse than Sir Destry, who gives you 2 cards instead. Rank number 2, Sir Bailey. Sir Bailey, aka the Cantrip Knight, was voted way higher than all previous ones. He got 9 first ranks, but has still 2 votes on second last, so he has the 3rd highest deviation. As said before, non-terminal attacks are very strong, and him being a cantrip makes him worth to pick up on many occasions, as he doesn't hurt unless you draw him dead. The possibility to place 2 strong attacks, either another knight or another strong attack, without the need of a village can be huge. Rank number 1, Sir Michael. Sir Michael, aka the Discarding Knight, is clearly the best knight. 20 out of 35 votes voted him first, and he was voted only 3 times below average. Sir Michael attacks twice, which can really slow someone down. Trashing and discarding can set someone 2 turns back. If you manage to play only him each turn once, your opponent has really trouble. He alone may be the reason that your opponent picks up a knight just to get rid of him. Yeah, thanks again for watching. Those were the knights. I appreciate all comments on YouTube and on the forums. I really like to hear your thoughts on the knights and about their strength, as you have more experience in the last 6 months. Also, you can look forward to the next part, which is the cards costing 6 or more. So see you next time. Bye.